Sirius studied Harry's profile, moved by this.
I don't know if you know, Harry, but when you were born, James and Lily made me your guardian.
I know.
And well, I'll understand if you choose to stay with your aunt and uncle, but so you know, you could...
Come live with you. When?
Soon as my name's cleared.
Harry looks at Hogwarts and grins. Sirius does the same. Then, Hermione's voice rises on the air, quavering with fear.
Harry?
He turns and sees Hermione staring at the full moon. His eyes shift. Lupin is a rigid silhouette, his fingers twitching.
Remus, old friend, did you take a potion tonight?
Lupin, twitching, shakes his head. Pettigrew's eyes dart, taking in the situation. Then, they slowly shift, noting the wand trembling in Lupin's lengthening fist.
Run, all of you, now.
But none of them do. Transfixed, watching as bristles poke through Lupin's skin. Black steps forward and wraps his arms around his friend, pressing his mouth to his ear.
You know the man you truly are, Remus. This flesh is only flesh. This heart is where you truly live. This heart here.
As Lupin's wand drops, Pettigrew leaps.
No! Expelliarmus!
Lupin's wand flies from Pettigrew's hands and he freezes. Then, slowly turning, face blank, eyes closed, he grins hideously and transforms. Stunned, Harry watches a rat dart into the night. A howl pierces the air and Harry wheels. With a shrug, Lupin tosses Black into the air, then turns. He is no longer human. He is a werewolf. Harry and Hermione begin to edge back.
Professor?
The werewolf's eyes blaze, long teeth glitter. Then, a horrifying growl erupts from its throat. Harry and Hermione spin and begin to flee, running flat into Snape as they collapse in a great, clumsy pile. Snape's eyes flutter open, the spell broken. Seeing Hermione atop him, he sweeps her aside.
Out of the way.
And finds the werewolf preparing to pounce. Leaping to his feet, Snape draws his wand and steps forward, shielding Hermione, Harry, and Ron. The werewolf howls, sprinting forward when a giant dog intercepts it in midair. They hit the ground in a fierce tangle of flashing teeth. A single, horrible, flailing beast. Again and again, the dog pushes the werewolf back, but the werewolf is too strong.
Sirius!
The dog yelps, roaring in pain, and the werewolf flings it into the tall grass. As it charges after, Harry pushes past Snape, dashing into the night. Hermione makes to follow, but Snape.
Harry!
Harry runs full out. Up ahead, framed against a full moon, he spies the dog, lying inert, the werewolf's razor-sharp claws suspended over its neck.
No!
Desperately, Harry lifts a thick branch from the ground and hurls it with all his might. Bullseye. The werewolf freezes. Turning, he begins to move towards Harry. Harry draws his wand, terrified, but tormented as well, knowing Lupin dwells somewhere within the beast.
Please, Professor, stop. It's me.
Suddenly, a howl pierces the night. The werewolf falters, cocking its head towards the forest. Harry waits, petrified. The werewolf's eyes shift back to him. It snarls, moving closer, ready to kill. Harry covers his face with his arms when a second howl echoes high above the forest. Slowly, Harry drops his arm. and looks. The werewolf bounds towards the forest and vanishes. Harry's eyes shift. In the darkness, the wounded dog lurches through the tall grass and falls, rising again and falling, each time becoming more human. As he disappears over the ridge, Harry sprints after. Harry stumbles down to Black, who lies on the water's edge, now fully a man, arms and face gleaming with laceration.
Sirius!
Harry looks into his glassy eyes.
Sirius!
A fragile mist escapes Harry's mouth. A raw wind tosses his hair. Chill bumps pebble his skin. A fringe of ice appears at the lake's edge. Then they appear, oozing like smoke through the trees across the lake. Dementors.
No. No. Expecto Patronum!
A thin, silvery wisp weeps from Harry's wand, hovering like a veil. But the Dementors continue to come. Harry places his hand on Black's heaving heart, poising his wand once more.
Expecto Patronum!
Harry's Patronus blooms briefly and dies. Harry's eyes flutter, the Dementors twisting madly in his vision, drawing closer. Black gasps. Silvery feathers of light tumble from his lips, as if his very soul were leaving him. Then a light splinters the trees. Harry squints and sees a fiery stag appear, its body luminous, slashing through the trees, sowing light in the darkness. The Dementors wilt in its wake, but more replace them, sweeping down in waves. Still, the stag charges on. The light expands, the forest blazing with it. The remaining Dementors flee, drifting across the moon like ashes. The light ebbs. The stag's luminous body flickers. There is a bright flash, and darkness returns. A single thread of light, all that remains, spinning down to the size of a pearl, in the palm of a man, standing deep in the trees. Harry studies the strangely familiar silhouette. Then it is gone. Silence drops like a curtain. Mist rises from the lake as Snape appears at the top of the rise. Later that night, in the hospital wing, Hermione's shadow appears, rippling against the curtain that encircles Harry's bed. A hand reaches out, Harry's hand, and sweeps the curtain aside. Ron lies opposite, his leg bandaged. Hermione paces and stops.
Harry,
I saw my dad.
what?
He sent the Dementors away. I saw him across the lake.
Hermione exchanges a private glance with Ron, then turns back.
Listen, Harry, they've captured Sirius. Any minute the Dementors are going to perform the kiss.
The kiss?
It's what Dementors do to those they want to destroy. They clamp their jaws over the victim's mouth and suck out the soul.
You mean they're going to kill Sirius?
No, it's worse, much worse. You go on living, but you have no memory, no sense of self. You're just a shell, an empty shell.
As Harry reacts, the door opens and Dumbledore enters.
Headmaster, you've got to stop them. They've got the wrong man.
It's true, sir. Sirius is innocent.
It was Scabbers who did.
Scabbers?
My rat, sir. Only, he's not really a rat. Well, he was a rat. You see, he used to be my brother Percy's.
The point is, we know the truth. Please, sir, you must believe us.
I do, Miss Granger. But I'm sorry to say the word of 3 13-year-old wizards will convince few others. A child's voice, however honest and true, is meaningless to those who have forgotten how to listen.
As Dumbledore turns to the window, a shooting star plummets silently.
A shooting star. If everyone was to make a wish, now would be the time. But time, I'm afraid, is precisely our problem.
On cue, the midnight bell begins to chime.
Mysterious thing, time. Powerful. And when meddled with, dangerous. Sirius Black is in the topmost cell of the Dark Tower. You know the laws, Miss Granger. You must not be seen, and you would, I feel, do well to return before this last chime. If not, well, the consequences are really too ghastly to discuss. 3 turns should do it, I think. If you succeed, more than one innocent life may be spared tonight.
Dumbledore hands Harry and Hermione each a stick of chocolate, then starts to go, but stops.
By the way, when in doubt, I find retracing my steps to be a wise place to begin. Good luck.
He smiles and exits. Harry glances curiously at the chocolate.
What in the bloody hell was that all about?
Sorry, Ron, but seeing as you can't walk,
As Ron and Harry exchange a curious glance, the bell continues to chime. And time reverses. In a dizzying backwards blur, as if a tape were being rewound, every moment that occurred in the hospital room flickered by at a dizzying speed, while outside the window, darkness gives way to dusk, and the sun unsets, returning to its place low on the horizon. At this point, the time reversal ends, and the room is empty, except for Harry and Hermione. As Hermione unloops the necklace, Harry glances around.
What just happened? Where's Ron?
Hermione ignores the question, eyeing the clock on the wall.
7:30. Where were we at 7:30?
I don't know. Going to Hagrid's?
Hermione grabs Harry's arm and slams through the door.
Hermione, would you please tell me what it is we're doing?
She holds up a hand, silencing him. Annoyed, Harry follows her gaze and blinks in disbelief. Across the grounds, he sees himself, along with Hermione and Ron, about to confront Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle near the monolith. Dumbfounded, Harry turns. Hermione holds up the hourglass.
This is a time turner, Harry. Professor McGonagall gave it to me first term. This is how I've been getting to my lessons all year.
You mean we've gone back in time?
Dumbledore wanted us to return to this moment. Clearly, something happened he wants us to change.
A soft smack is heard. They turn to see Malfoy land on the seat of his pants in the sundial garden, rubbing his kisser.
Good punch.
Hurry! Malfoy's coming!
Hermione pulls Harry under the bridge. Seconds later, footsteps clamor over the head.
Not a word of this to anyone. Understood? I'll get that jumped up my blood one of these days. Mark my words.
Eyes narrowed in anger, Hermione leans out, reaches up, and sends Malfoy sprawling. As Harry pulls her back, Malfoy looks around in confusion, then dashes off with the others. Seconds later, Harry emerges, marveling at the sight of himself and Hermione, along with Ron, heading down the slope to Hagrid's hut. His eyes shift to the pumpkin.
Look, Buckbeak's still alive.
Of course! Remember what Dumbledore said. If we succeed, more than one innocent life could be spared.
Buckbeak? But how will saving Buckbeak help Sirius?
We'll see.
As Buckbeak feasts on a ferret, Harry and Hermione duck behind a pile of pumpkins. Peering into the hut, Harry sees Hermione and Ron embrace awkwardly. He grins, turning, only to find Hermione analyzing the moment with considerable fascination. Caught, she regards Harry defensively.
What?
Nothing. Here they come. I better hurry.
No! Fudge has to see Buckbeak before we steal him. Otherwise, he'll think Hagrid set him free.
Harry nods, then looks towards the hut. Inside, Hagrid is handing Scabbers.
That's Pettigrew.
As he starts to rise, Hermione grabs him and speaks fiercely.
Oh, Harry, you can't.
Hermione, that's the man who betrayed my parents. You don't expect me to just sit here.
Yes, you must. Harry, you're in Hagrid's hut right now. If you go bursting aside, you'll think you've gone mad. Awful things can happen when wizards meddle with time. We can't be seen.
Hermione turns and watches Fudge and the others drawing closer. She frowns, glancing into the hut.
Fudge is coming and we're not leaving. Why aren't we leaving?
Are you mad?
Hermione ignores him, swiftly whistling a second stone through the window and off the back of Harry's head.
That hurt.
Sorry. Come on, any minute now we're going to be coming out the back door. Is that really what my hair looks like from the back?
Shh!
Hermione sees herself turn. Ducking, she accidentally stirs the branches, then peeks out to see herself, staring curiously at the branches dancing oddly. Next, she hears her own voice.
Nothing, I just thought I saw... Never mind.
Harry and Hermione watch themselves start up the slope, the coast clear. They slip out of the trees.
Now, Harry!
As Harry vaults into the patch, the crows stir, cawing at his ankles, pecking at his feet.
It is a decision of the Committee for the Disposal of Dangerous Creatures that Hippogriff Buckbeak, hereafter called the Condemned, shall be executed this day at sundown.
As Harry approaches, Buckbeak studies him curiously, a ferret leg dangling from his beak. Harry bows. The ferret leg disappears, and Buckbeak returns Harry's nod. As Harry takes Buckbeak's chain, a flint-eyed crow pecks his hand.
Get away.
Harry waves the crow away, yanking hard on Buckbeak's chain.
The Committee's appointed executioner shall dispatch the condemned by means of the head.
Come on, Buckbeak. Come on.
Buckbeak refuses to move.
As witnessed below, you sign here, Hagrid. Very well, gentlemen. Let's step outside, shall we?
The Hogwarts bell begins to toll. Harry and Hermione exchange a glance. Harry tugs harder, but to no avail.
Excuse me, Minister. I believe I must sign as well.
Harry pulls at the chain, straining mightily. When Hermione pops up and bows quickly, dangling a dead ferret before Buckbeak.
Here, Beaky. Come and get a nice dead ferret. Yum yum.
Harry looks at her as if she's mad, but it's working. As Buckbeak trots after, the cawing crows scatter. Harry and Hermione lead Buckbeak away when the back door suddenly opens. They freeze. Caught? Fudge's eyes drifting their way. When, as before, Dumbledore raises his hand and directs the attention of the others away from Buckbeak.
Professor Dibbit had those blackberries planted when he was a master.
Harry and Hermione shoo Buckbeak along and disappear into the forest, just as Dumbledore concludes his reverie.
Let's get this over with, shall we?
Harry and Hermione, their view unobstructed by the low stand of trees this time, watch the executioner approach the pumpkin patch and stop. Quickly, the confusion in his eyes turn to anger.
But where is it? I just saw the beast not moments ago. Hagrid?
Beaky.
Hearing Hagrid's husky voice, Buckbeak strains at his tether and whimpers eerily. Hermione tosses him another ferret.
How extraordinary.
Come now, Dumbledore. Someone's obviously released him.
Professor, I swear I didn't release him.
I'm quite sure the minister isn't suggesting that you had anything to do with it, Hagrid. How could you? You've been with us all along.
We should search the grounds.
Search the skies if you must, Minister. In the meantime, I wouldn't say no to a cup of tea, Hagrid, or a large brandy. It seems your services will no longer be required.
The executioner lifts his blade and, with a brutal fury, plunges it into the flesh of a pumpkin with a sickening chop. The crows scatter to the skies. Harry and Hermione race through the trees as Buckbeak lopes easily behind.
Now what?
We save Sirius.
Great. And we do that. How?
No idea.
The Whomping Willow thrashing. Hermione disappears down the hole. Then a figure approaches the tree. Lupin.
Look, it's Lupin.
As the Whomping Willow begins to thrash, its violence oddly muted at this distance, Lupin takes a stick and pokes a knot on the trunk. Instantly, the willow calms.
Wait until Fred and George hear about that one.
Here comes Snape.
As Lupin disappears into the gap at the base of the tree, Snape makes his way down the slope.
And now, we wait.
Now, we wait.
The edge of the forest, etched against the darkening sky, and bats flying here and there, when Buckbeak snags one. A tail twitches briefly between his beak, then it's gone.
At least someone's enjoying himself.
Harry and Hermione sit together in the lengthening shadows. Harry snaps off a piece of chocolate and hands it to Hermione.
Hermione,
Yes?
before, down by the lake, when I was with Sirius, I did see someone. That someone made the Dementors go away.
With Patronus, I heard Snape telling Dumbledore when we were taken to the hospital. According to him, only a really powerful wizard could have conjured it.
It was my dad.
Hermione looks at Harry.
It was my dad who conjured the Patronus.
But, Harry, your dad's...
Dead? I know. I'm just telling you what I saw.
Hermione nods, not wanting to press Harry further. Then glances beyond the trees towards the Whomping.
Here we come.
Shadows emerge under a full moon. Black, Harry, Pettigrew, Lupin, Hermione, Ron, and sleepwalking Snape. Harry studies himself and Sirius.
You see Sirius talking to me? He's asking me to come live with him.
Really?
When we free him, I'll never have to go back to the Dursleys. I'm going to tell him I'd like to live someplace in the country. I think he'd like that, after all those years in Azkaban. You don't need a big place, and I can help him.
A howl pierces the night. Hermione glances towards the willow.
It's happened. Lupin's transformed.
Which means Pettigrew is sleeping safely into the night, while we just stand here.
A fierce growling is heard as twin silhouettes, the dog and the werewolf, bound into the tall grass. Harry watches himself appear and hurl the stick as before. The werewolf turns and begins to stalk. Harry wheels and sees Hermione, hands cupped to her mouth, making a loud howl. He covers her mouth.
What are you doing?
Saving your life.
Harry looks back at the tall grass. The werewolf is frozen. As before, it begins to approach Harry again. This time, Harry doesn't stop her.
Thanks, but we have to move.
Why?
Because that werewolf you just called is running right this way.
Buckbeak, we've got to find him.
Then, the werewolf reveals itself. 15 feet away, waiting as Harry and Hermione step out. They freeze. The werewolf poises itself, preparing to pounce when the trees shake with the fury of a hurricane, and Buckbeak charges into the clearing, screening Harry and Hermione. The werewolf snarls angrily, making to charge. With lightning-fast reflexes, Buckbeak's claws slash the air, only inches from the werewolf's face. The werewolf stops, eyes glittering with rage, then howls. Turning away, it vanishes into the forest.
Poor Professor Lupin is having a really tough night.
Just then, a chilling wind rises. The leaves of the trees tremble. Eerie shadows flutter over the moon, greasy as smoke. Dementors.
Let's go.
Looking upward through the trees as the sky wheels by, Dementors streaking in and out of view. Shocked, terror-stricken, opposite them, across the lake, a cyclone of Dementors whirl madly above Harry and Black. Harry watches himself vainly attempt to conjure a Patronus, as the cyclone only continues to grow.
This is horrible.
Don't worry. My dad will come. Right there. You see. He'll come. Any minute. He'll conjure the Patronus.
Hermione eyes Harry warily. He is transfixed, staring hungrily towards the outcrop. The wind rises. The lake begins to freeze. One after the other, Dementors drop from the sky and vanish into the cyclone.
No one's coming. Harry.
He will. He will come.
She looks, but nothing. Desperately, her eyes flash to the cyclone, to the pitiful sight of Harry and Black at the water's edge, racked in pain, dying.
No one's coming. You're dying. Both of you. And no one's coming.
Harry's face changes. A riddle unravels. He draws his wand.
Harry, no!
Too late. Harry slashes through the trees down to the rocky outcrop, to the exact spot where his father appeared. Poising his wand, he looked out over the sea of Dementors on the other side of the lake.
Expecto Patronum!
A wisp of silver escapes his wand, hovering like a mist, then blooms magnificently. The trees explode with light. The lake blazes with reflected fire. Harry stands utterly still, wand extended to the heavens. Across the lake, the Dementors retreat. Harry waits, still as a statue, until each and every one is gone. Then he simply lets his arm drop. Harry and Hermione plunge astride Buckbeak, soaring toward the castle. Outside the ground, the Dementors wait restlessly. Up ahead, Fudge and Snape enter the Dark Tower, torches in hand.
You were right, Hermione. It wasn't my dad I saw earlier. It was me. I saw you myself conjuring the Patronus. I knew I could do it this time because I'd already done it. Does that make sense?
Hermione contemplates this.
No, but I don't like this.
Buckbeak lands. Sirius paces within a small cell, a man condemned. Spying Harry and Hermione, he stops, stunned to see them. Snape, torch in hand, leads the way as Fudge huffs after. Back to Black's tower terrace. Hermione pushes past Harry.
Out of the way. Alohomora.
Sirius tests the iron door. Still locked. Snape and Fudge draw closer, wands flashing. Hermione tries spell after spell.
You might try.
Quiet. I'm trying to think.
She resumes pacing, muttering furiously, then stops. and turns.
Bombarda!
The cell door rockets to the sky.
That'll do.
Immediately, Buckbeak, Harry, Hermione, and Sirius soar off directly towards the sky, just as Snape and Fudge reach the top of the tower. Sirius laughs, hair blowing in the air.
You truly are your father's son, Harry.
Black puts his hands to Hermione's waist and swings her off Buckbeak and onto the ground next to Harry.
I want to go with you.
One day, perhaps, for some time. Life will be too unpredictable. Besides, you're meant to be here.
Black pats his shoulder and looks him in the eye.
Promise me something, Harry.
Anything.
Trust yourself. No matter the challenges you face, and I fear they will be many, you'll be surprised at how many times you can find answers. Here.
As Sirius climbs atop Buckbeak, a shooting star arcs.
A shooting star. Make a wish.
Black gives Buckbeak a slap, and they soar into the glittering sky. Harry and Hermione stand watching when they wheel and look to the clock tower.
We have to go.
Harry and Hermione dash off, racing up the tower stairway, then passing through the mechanism and on through the end of the corridor. The clock tower bell thunders. Then the door opens and Dumbledore backs out.
By the way, when in doubt, I find retracing my steps to be a wise place to begin. Good luck.
As Dumbledore begins to close the door, Harry and Hermione stumble frantically forward, the door about to hit the jamb when, suddenly, Dumbledore stops and looks up.
Well?
He's free. Sirius. We did it.
Did what?
With a twinkle in his eyes, Dumbledore swings open the door as Harry and Hermione enter.
How did you get over there? I was just talking to you over there.
Ron glances to the other side of the room with another frown. Hermione glances mischievously to Harry.
What do you think, Harry? Too much for him? Everything that's happened tonight?
Afraid so. Always been a bit of the nervous type Ron has.
Ron stares at them, confounded. Slowly, they grin. Harry walks softly towards an open door, Lupin's office, and peers in. Lupin stands over a battered suitcase, filling it with the last of his books. Without turning, he speaks.
Hello, Harry.
Harry jumps. Lupin turns and smiles through haggard eyes.
Saw you coming.
The Marauder's map lies open on an otherwise bare desk. Harry nods and looks back to Lupin, unable to disguise his shock at Lupin's appearance.
I've looked worse, believe me.
Harry eyes the open desk drawers, the bare bookshelves.
You've been sacked.
Resigned.
Resigned? But why?
It seems that someone has let slip the nature of my condition.
Snape.
Whoever, it was bound to get out. This time tomorrow, the owls will start arriving. Parents will know one day someone like me teaching their children
But Dumbledore.
has already risked enough on my behalf. Besides, people like me, well, let's just say I'm used to this by now. But before I go, tell me about your Patronus.
Well, at first I thought it was a horse, or perhaps a unicorn. But I think it was,
A stag.
yes.
Your father used to transform into one. That's how he was able to keep me company when I became sick. He was a great friend, James.
Lupin smiles wanly. lifting his sorry suitcase, then stops.
There are stories about him and your mother, you know. Some are even true. But I think it's safe to say, in the end, you'll know them best by getting to know yourself.
Lupin then, with a wicked twinkle, raises his wand.
Mischief managed.
Harry watches the map go blank and looks back. Lupin is gone. Ron stands amid a circle of excited Gryffindors.
Stand back, I said. I'll take it upstairs if you don't settle.
As Harry arrives, he glances at Hermione, who clears her throat loudly. The others turn and begin all speaking at once.
Harry, where did you get it?
Can I have a go, Harry? After you, of course.
Quiet! Thank you. Let the man through.
Mystified, Harry steps forward, the boys peeling away, clearing his view of the broomstick in Ron's hands. The label gleams. Firebolt.
Whose is that?
Whose is it? It's yours, mate.
But how? Who?
It's a mystery, though. This fell out of the wrapping.
Harry turns and sees Hermione holding up a feather.
That's Hippogriff's feather.
Harry stops short. Hermione raises her eyebrow. They both share a secret glance. The huge vertical doors bust open, and Harry, trailed by the others, exit with the firebolt. As he strides off, others join the assembly. Hagrid, Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle among them, curious to see what the commotion is all about. As Harry stops, an expectant hush hangs over the moment.
Go on, Harry.
Yeah, let's see.
Harry mounts his broom, licks his finger, and jabs it in the air. A few others do the same. Hagrid does the same. Crabbe and Goyle start to follow when Malfoy slaps their hands down. Finally, Harry places his hand on the broom, sets his grip, takes a breath, and frowns.
What's wrong?
I don't think it works. I think it's defective.
A collective groan. Dejected, many of the kids begin to drift towards the castle. Harry calls after.
Oh, come on now. It's just a broom.
Just a broom.
Harry's eyes shift to Ron and Hermione. He winks.
The fastest broom in the world.
As everyone turns, Harry jets off. A tiny dot, growing larger and larger, races upwards. It's Harry shooting straight into the blue on the firebolt. A scream grows louder as he approaches. A scream of release, of utter abandon. It's Harry screaming. But something else is clear as he jets past. It's a scream of joy.